to another episode of Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. I am Patrina Wisdom, author, speaker, and creator of the Pure Abundance Retreat in Belize. And I'm super excited to be with Alta Felix today. She is actually a soul therapist. Are you intrigued? So let's jump in. First off, thank you so much for being here. This woman, we're here in Miami doing these interviews, and this incredible woman actually traveled from Philadelphia to be here today. So, I mean, a bow of honor to you. But we had such a connection when we met on Zoom, right?
We did.
So I'm looking forward to this. So before we jump into the business stuff, I'd really love for you to share who is Alta Felix.
Well, first, thank you for having me here, Patrina, and for inviting me. I'm really excited to just be able to be a part of this conversation with you. Mm-hmm. So, who am I? Such a great question. I've pondered this question myself and trying to figure out how do you answer that. And the one thing and the one answer that I have come to is that I am love.
That's my favorite answer.
Yes. I am love, and what that means is I cannot be defined.
Right.
I cannot be put into a box. I don't follow rules, and I just go with the energy and where I'm taken. And if I had to pick a word, that would be the word that I would use for myself. I think it encompasses it most accurately.
It's so expansive, is what it is. Yeah, I love that. And then let's talk a little bit about your title as the soul therapist. What exactly does that mean, and what is your transformation that you provide to the world?
Ooh, great question. Okay, so the name has evolved, right? The title has evolved. And I think where soul therapist comes from is that I'm not necessarily dealing with a surface situation. And when I work with women around trauma and healing from past trauma, it really is soul level work. And the way that I use it is intuitive guidance and in downloads that I can then give to the person sitting across from me and allow them to start to shed some of the weight of the trauma that they've been carrying. I've had clients who, in one sentence, say, oh, I've been able to release 5 years of this thing that I've been carrying. So when I think of the word soul therapist now, right, it's like, it's something that isn't available.
Yeah.
I get to do something that isn't necessarily available, especially here. There are people like you who are doing this deeper work, and it's so needed, right? Because
it is.
Trauma is deep.
I think also there's a recognition, right? I think that you and I both have this gift of really seeing and being with people and seeing beyond what they're showing us, which I'm sure is, 100% spirit. And so some of the trauma that they're able to release in the sessions with you, I bet you if they had to identify it or articulate it, or even say, oh, I'm going to go to her because I have this trauma that I need to release. Like, that's probably not really what they're attracted to you for, but that's what they walk away with. And so, I mean, I can only imagine what a weight is lifted when someone sits in front of you in that way.
It is. One of the things that I know my clients say to me all the time is how loved they feel. Right? Like they feel so safe, so seen, and so heard. And that allows them to just come, and I call it soul vomit. Like they just come and just release whatever they don't necessarily feel comfortable letting out with anyone else. And that's healing.
Yes,
that's
100%.
healing. That's part of it.
You have that energy of kind of like Mama Earth energy, like just your face is just so pleasant, and your spirit, and so I'm sure that helps them to feel safe and safe to be vulnerable and open up. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about your spiritual gifts, because I know you've had them probably your entire life, but I believe in our discussion you just recently fully embraced those spiritual gifts, right? There's so much stigma when people are intuitive or psychic or have certain gifts, and you could be like killed at the stake. Especially like true life, past trauma, past lives. So what has that journey been for you, and how have you overcome that fear?
It's been quite a journey, right? So I've literally just less than a year ago started coming out and telling people that I have these gifts and these abilities. And since a child, I used to be able to see spirits, and I used to be able to hear them. And and I didn't know what it was. And so when I went to my mother about it, coming from a lineage of people who have always been able to see and work in this way, mediums and channels. But what I've now realized is my mom was an immigrant in a country where being an immigrant was already enough of a crucifix. And then, oh, my daughter sees spirits, right? And so her response to keep me safe was, don't respond to them. You know, act like you don't see them, act like you don't hear them, so that they go away. And so I spent, how old am I now? 33. So about 20 years, 15 years without tapping in to these gifts. So I never lost the ability to feel, right? I can sense people's energies. I can sense when there is positive energy or negative energy. And I've now began to open up to listening again to the messages that are coming through. I call them angelic messages because the way they come in, they're very short, very succinct.
Your guides.
Yeah, very like 5 words and direct. I always tell people, please know this is coming from a place of love before they come through. And so that's just some of it right now, and it continues to evolve, right? Like colors, as I mentioned earlier, colors are
which I'm
starting to
really
come
excited
in.
about, actually.
I can't wait to see what it's about.
Dive
right?
in.
Yeah. So
that's super transformative. Colors all are related to something spiritual, and that's going to be such a big part of your therapeutic practice.
Exactly.
You know, in the spiritual realm. So that's going to be amazing.
It is. And to answer the second part of your question, like how did I overcome that fear? My clients. I think it was my clients, right? Like, and then joining Rachel Rogers' community and really just saying, I'm done, right? I can't serve people. I can't have the impact that I know I can have when it comes to healing women from trauma if I hide this aspect of myself, which was huge and integral in the way that I did my own healing from my trauma. And so that combination of knowing that it's there and it's time, right? It's time. There's that awakening happening. There is no better time than now to start to do the healing work for myself around that probably ancestral past life wound of being burned at the stake.
Well, I think also in the past there weren't a lot of examples of people blending their spirituality with their entrepreneurial offerings in the world. And I remember my very first time being introduced to that concept of like a spiritual entrepreneur, a spiritual coach, a spiritual marketing person, whatever it was. I went to a conference called the Gifted Conference with Beth Davis. I'm not sure if you ever heard of Beth Davis, but it was in somewhere in Arizona. And I mean, literally my jaw dropped because I was a closeted spiritualist at the time. And so raised, Christian, and my mom was a minister, and, we were in and out of churches, and anything that was not that was kind of perceived as negative, right? Or witchcraft or whatever. And so I just remember the level of permission that I felt being at this conference with all of these entrepreneurs that were like, I'm gonna wave my spiritual freak flag, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you get to be wealthy, and you get to be spiritual, and you get to be a badass businesswoman.
Yes.
You can have all of it. And that was so life-changing for me. And I feel like in the realm that you're working in this therapeutic realm, I've never met a soul therapist. No, I have met in the group, actually, in our community. Fanike is a trauma therapist focused on financial, and she's also a healer, a Reiki healer. And so it's needed. It's needed, and people are responding because I feel like they're hitting this wall in the logical, right? In the logical and the practical environment, like the environment and the mindset, and they know there's something else.
Yeah.
So when you show up and say, I'm a soul therapist, they're intrigued, but their soul is what's calling is what's attracting to you for that work.
Yes.
So articulate today.
I love it.
I'm like, what am I trying to say? But so I love that you're stepping into that. And you said the key word, visibility, right? Not only are you stepping into it, you said yes to the calling, but you're actually allowing yourself to be visible.
Yes. That part of it is the journey.
Yes.
Right. That part of it is the journey, not because the gifts are there. The journey is being brave enough to go out there and say, I can help you, and this is how, and I don't care what this person has to say or what that person has to say about what I'm able to do. does it feel right for you?
Right.
Like, you know, are you ready? I think that's the other part, right? When you're working with people who are dealing with trauma or healing from trauma is, are they ready?
True.
Because you can't force people to do that.
No.
But they're ready. I think women are ready right now. I think women are just like, enough is enough. I'm tired of being in pain. I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of putting everyone else before me. I'm tired of all of that. Like, what does life get to look like for me if I'm free of all these things?
Yes. And would you agree with me? I am of the mind that by me being fully who I am, spiritual woo-woo hippie chick, very practical, systemized, you know, somewhat A-type, recovered A-type, badass, I'm gonna cuss, I'm gonna maybe flash my tits at some point, like this is just who I am. And by bringing all of that, it becomes a filter for who is in alignment with me and who I am and what I do and who is not.
Yes.
And honestly, it protects my own time.
Yes.
It protects my own time and it allows me to fully stand in my worth. So have you noticed a shift from when you were maybe not as vocal about the spiritual gifts to now where you're like a soul therapist, fully embracing it and completely visible?
Absolutely. I came out as a money coach, right? With the premise that...
Stop!
Yeah. I started my business journey as a money coach because...
We talked about
we
that.
did.
Yeah, because we're in the industry, yes. Okay.
I wanted to help women who have experienced trauma learn how to shift their relationship around money.
Okay.
But they weren't open to, oh, you should do this mirror work, or, you know, I'm getting this message. They weren't open to it. And what I realized is I'm attracting people based in fear. Like, I'm small and I'm attracting people that are only okay with this smallness, but I'm bigger than that, right? And so as I've started to come out and talk more about crystals, essential oils, meditating, having a relationship with trauma, right? Things like that, I'm getting more women who are more open, more receptive, and just like, please let me in, right? Like, please let me in. And that is worth my time, right? Like, that's worth my time because I'm educating. I'm also calling in the right women.
Yes.
And I feel good. I don't feel depleted anymore. I don't feel drained. I feel more aligned. And that's what I had to realize is, as a money coach, I wasn't necessarily, I was serving, but I wasn't creating the impact that I wanted to have in the lives of the women that I was calling in. And so I had to let that go. I had to let that go. And that process of letting that die and grieving it, right? Because I created an identity around it. Grieving that, right? I know. Grieving that whole thing. Yes, it's intense. And then allowing the new version to be birthed. Not even the new version. Allowing
the true version.
The true version to come out and to be birthed. It's been amazing.
Yes. Oh no, I know this journey so well. After my husband passed, my practice was that I was the fresh start specialist, right? Focusing on recreation and all of these things. And then there was a point where I was like, okay, I don't necessarily want to be in it with people anymore. Like, you know, working through the trauma and helping them to like create the vision for what they want, you know, the next thing. I want to actually be with them on the journey of recreation and or coming out of that journey and up leveling to the next level. So that's actually where the Badass Bodacious Life movement came from.
I love that.
Right? I wanted to get out of the energy of, okay, I've gone through this horrible thing and now I have to drudge my way out of it, and be in the energy of what else is possible, right? Yes. So I totally understand that. And I know that too, when you do that, when you align with that energy that is so true to who you are and what your calling is, that you start to like magnetize all of the right people into your life, whether it's your community, right? Through your Toronto's community or whatever, the right clients, just everything. And even your partner, right? Yes. Tell me about that.
Oh God. My partner is amazing. My partner is amazing. You're talking about my intimate partner, right? Okay, yeah. He's amazing. He's amazing, and he was such a significant part of my healing journey. Yes. You hear stories about women who've experienced intimate partner abuse or any other type of trauma, and the idea that you shouldn't get into a relationship while you're still working through your trauma. I don't believe that. I believe that if you are willing to do the work that is needed for your own healing, and you have a partner who's also willing to not only do his work but hold space while you're doing the work,
so important,
then, you know, that's a possibility, right? Then a relationship is possible. And I was very fortunate to have that. I have a partner who we established such a good friendship before it became intimate. And that has been the foundation of our relationship ever since, where as life and love does what it does, right? Love is a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down, it ebbs and it flows. Our relationship is steady.
Nice.
Right? Our friendship is constant.
Yes.
And I'm very grateful for him, because I wouldn't be where I'm at, right? And the woman he met was not woo-woo.
Right. Right.
The woman he met didn't have oracle cards and crystals everywhere. Right? But the woman he has now is like sage burning over here and altars over there.
Yes.
And he's just so receptive and open to it. And he looks at me now and he's like, you're helping people. How could I not?
Right.
Like, how could I not see you? I'm so grateful for him.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't be able to be here.
Yes. Literally in this space right now, right? He's home with the kids.
He's home with the kids.
Yeah, I love that. And I too have an incredible partner who is like the ultimate divine masculine, but that holds space for this crazy, free-spirited, divine feminine energy that is so spontaneous, and I'll just like get up and go. He's like, all right, baby, I'll be here when you get back, you know? I love that. And there's an uprising of these men. Oh, I'm so grateful. There's an uprising of these evolved divine masculine men. So I love that. Now, I cannot let you glaze over what you said. Okay, you said a lot of times women who are come out of abusive relationships. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Okay, so let's backtrack. We just rewound. And let's talk about that. Because I was going to ask you what one of your, greatest challenges in life was anyway. Let's talk a little bit about that journey.
Oh, I felt that in my gut just now, so I'm going to release it.
Yeah, let's just breathe.
And like it's just like, all right, you have to say this. And what I'm going to say is the greatest challenge was removing myself as a victim from the traumas in my life. So I experienced all types of traumas as a child. I had a beautiful childhood, and I didn't know I was being traumatized until society told me, right?
Right.
But when I think about intimate partner abuse, I was in 3 consecutive abusive relationships from the age of 14 to the age of 26. So I've experienced teenage intimate partner abuse with the person you had children with, and intimate partner abuse with someone else outside of that. And the last situation, I was just like, enough is enough. Like, enough is enough. And it started with the pity. Why does this keep happening to me? Right. And when I put that pity down and I asked the question seriously, I realized that it was me. I'm attracting these types of people. And the biggest challenge was accepting that without blaming, shaming, or making myself feel bad. Right? And realizing that all of that has happened for a reason. It is my job to figure that out. And one of the books that really helped me start to do that is Many Lives, Many Masters. Because that book introduced reincarnation to me. And the process of it. And then I went to the second book called Old Souls, where this guy followed children around the world who talked about a previous life and actually documented and was able to find facts based on how they previously died. And reading that opened my mind. Like, okay, if I've lived previous lives and I've chosen the one that I have right now, that means I've chosen the difficulties in this life. Well, then I'm supposed to be learning from them.
So you don't keep repeating.
Exactly. I'm supposed to be learning, not, and that's why it keeps happening. That's what I realized. I keep having these abusive relationships because I'm not learning what I need to learn. And so what is the learning in it? And that was the biggest challenge, that shift from being a victim to becoming, the warrioress of my life, right? My own advocate, like saying thank you to all the people that have harmed me in a way, in a loving way. In a loving way, where it's like, you served your purpose in this life for me.
Yes. And I got the lesson, and we're complete, and I'm gonna lovingly
let you go. Exactly.
Let you go.
It's not hate.
Yes.
It's not anger.
Yes.
Not that there's anything wrong with anger. There's hate is a shackle on yourself. So I don't condone hate. But anger, I think, is a beautiful feeling. And I think we minimize how beautiful anger is. We tend to say all these quote unquote negative emotions, we shouldn't feel them. And that's part of the trauma in society, right? Is we're not allowed to be human. We're expected to be happy, go lucky, cheery all the damn time.
Yes.
And it's just not gonna work that way.
You can be happy go lucky in your anger.
Exactly. right? Like anger starts movements.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Anger creates change
Sure.
when it's used
Properly.
exactly.
Directing the energy instead of getting caught up in the energy.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So yeah.
Wow, I love that because I talk a lot about finding the gift in every challenge or trauma, and you basically articulated that same sentiment, but just in a different way.
Yeah. I would say find the gem.
Yeah.
There's a meditation that I like to do with people where it just detaches them from their experiences and allows them to find, since this, what are the beautiful things that have happened?
Mm-hmm.
How have you changed? How have you grown? How have you evolved?
Yeah.
And how has that played a role in the life that you get to have now?
Right.
Or you get to have tomorrow?
Yes.
Right.
So you are now grounding in this space and fully accepting and literally like coming out today as the the soul therapist.
Yes.
So let's fast forward. Let's get on our little time machine and fast forward like 5 to 10 years out. What is this going to look like? What are you creating? What's the vision for your life?
I see a generation of women that are walking in their authentic selves. And by that I mean the next one. Right? Like the babies, the children, the mothers who are doing the work right now, and that we get to set them up differently because we didn't know. Our parents didn't know, but now we know. And so I see the next generation, and I see myself participating in that by continuing to facilitate circles, right? Like circles is so needed. We need to get back to that. This is an ancient practice that has died that we need to get back to. Women need to be together in community so that we can share the wisdom, so that we can learn and energetically shift and grow. So that's what I see for myself. 5 to 10 years from now, I see literally my daughter leading another movement that is even greater than the one that I have now because of the work that I'm doing.
And how old's your daughter?
She's 11.
11. It's one girl, one boy?
No, 5 kids.
Oh, that's right.
I have 3 biological and 2 bonus babies, but we have 2 girls and 3 boys.
2 girls, 3 boys. Okay. Same as us. 2 and 3. Yeah, that's amazing. So what I'd love for you to do as we start to kind of bring this episode to a close is if there's someone out there who has gifts that they've been, suppressing or just like keeping secret or running from, I would love for you to give them some wisdom, like some encouraging words and maybe even some action steps on what they can do to, I guess, integrate and be present with that.
I love that. The first thing that I will say is connect with your body. Get back to being in your body. Part of the reason why we hide from our gifts is a disconnection from our body, where it's not safe to be in it. And so I think the first thing that I would say is reconnect back to your body, because your body is your radio. It's your antenna. It's how spirit communicates with you. And so if you want to come out and you want to walk this path, this body is part of that incarnation, and you've chosen it. And so embrace it, reconnect with it, love it, be one with it, hold space for it. That would be the first thing that I would say. The second thing that I would say is surround yourself by people who see you. Because that has been a game changer for me, is I have surrounded myself by people that say, you are more than what you're saying. You're able to do more than what you're saying you're able to do. And it didn't allow me to play small, right? That was part of that process, right? Having that community. So find your people. Who are your people that see you, that value you, that can hold space for you, and that will not let you play small, right? Like, you have a gift. It was given to you because you get to make an impact. And so don't waste this lifetime, right? We have many more, but don't waste this one.
Exactly.
Don't waste this one. And the third piece, so your body, your community. Love. I'm going to go back to that. And reconnect with love. There's nothing more beautiful than being able to spread unconditional love. And you don't even have to open your mouth to say that. But the heart is the gateway for the world in which we work with. And so we need to open up our hearts. And so if your heart is closed or if it's just not flowing, practice unconditional love, practice compassion, practice being judgment free. I mean, literally, while you're driving down the street and the person is cutting you off. Okay, because I've been practicing this. I'm going to share. It's really relevant. Express love. How can you be how can you be grateful in that moment versus anger? And like, not that anger is bad, as I said before, but opening your heart for love, because your gifts are going to come through the body and they're going to come out through your heart. And so you need to reconnect and open back up with that.
Nice. I think it's funny that you said the thing about the car. I have this habit, or I did have it for a while. I don't know lately. I'd have to kind of check in on that one. But for a while, every time someone would like cut me off or do something really annoying, I would just be like, "Bless you!" Like literally, I would roll down the window and be like, "Bless you! Have a great day!" And I would just literally like throw up love on them, and they just get even more evil. So it's kind of fun. But anyways, I don't think that's the spirit she meant it. But try it. It's kind of fun, actually.
You gotta figure out what works for you. Figure out what works for you. Because at the end of the day, it's your journey, your path, your gifts. Maybe it's that right.
They're just so perplexed. Like,
right, like, wait a minute, you're not angry.
Yeah. No, I've literally had people like cussing me out on the freeway, and I'm like, spread love, have a great day.
It's so hard to do that, but I commend you.
Yeah.
I commend you.
Well, I just try not to let people disturb my peace.
Exactly.
Right? So whatever I can do, whatever systems I can put in place to keep my peace, like that is the most important thing to me in life. So thank you so much for coming all the way from Philly to be with me today. I'm excited for us to spend some more time together before you go. And thank you for joining us today on this episode of Living Room Wisdom. I hope you were taking some notes. I hope you got some hits, maybe shed some tears, because I know that if I was listening to this, I definitely would have felt something. And don't forget to subscribe and follow and support us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, or whatever your preferred platform is. I love doing this. I love spotlighting these incredible women. And I look forward to seeing you again next week, Wednesday, on Living Room Wisdom. Namaste.